Hey York Alliance, this is Pastor Brian back again with you for this midweek video update. Thanks for tuning in and staying connected as we journey through this time all together. I think, at least as I talk to several of you, it seems that we're starting to settle into a new normal, or at least what we all hope is a short-term new normal, whether you're working from home or working with kids who are working from home, or starting to figure out a rhythm as we live somewhat physically separate lives, but hopefully still connected lives. I hope you've heard from one of our pastors or one of our elders by now. If you're part of our York Alliance family and you haven't heard from someone, if you could just shoot a message to the office and let us know that and give us your updated or your current contact information. We'd love to be reaching out to everyone over the course of this time. And if you haven't heard from somebody yet, or at least gotten a message from somebody yet, then we may have the wrong information for you or not have information for you at all. So if you could send that in to yac@yorkalliance.org or just info@yorkalliance.org, that would be great. We would love to hear from you. Let me remind you first of the ways that we're trying to stay connected during this time. There's lots of ways that that's happening. I'm just going to highlight a few of them. Many of them, of course, are through the internet, through some form of video connection or audio connection, and so hopefully that's working out for many of you. First of all, our live streams on Sunday morning as part of our on our YouTube page. We would love for you to jump in with us right at 10:30 and stay within our normal rhythm of worshiping together and hearing from the Word together. You can do that live at 10:30. If you're not able to make 10:30 work for one reason or another, you can listen to it throughout the week. But we'd encourage you, I would really encourage you, to take time to journey through that all in one sitting. It's a 90-minute time where we can devote to worship and prayer and connecting our hearts to the Word. And I would encourage you not to just watch it in little bits and pieces over the course of the week, but to really engage that time, to worship together and to make that part of the way that we stay connected as a community. Also, feel free to share that. There are many churches in our area and around the country that are not able to do that for various reasons. And if you think that'd be encouraging to someone that you're connected to, friend or family member, neighbor, whatever, we would love for you to share that so that people can be encouraged through this time. In addition to that, obviously we have these weekly video updates. I'm going to continue to record these and keep you up to speed. And at least you can see me. I wish I was able to see you at the same time, but at least you can see me as we're journeying through this together. So these weekly updates, there's a daily encouragement podcast that is released typically in the late morning, early afternoon each day, roughly 10 minutes long, just an opportunity to center our hearts. So whether that's when you're in the car or in the kitchen or working from home, you can play that straight through your computer, yorkalliance.org, on our sermons page, or you can stream that through whatever podcast app you use. But we'd love for you to stay connected that way. In addition to that, we're continuing to use our Tithely, Tithe.ly, Tithely platform for online giving that you can do electronically. And so that's another way that you can stay connected as we continue to offer ourselves, our hearts, and our resources to the Lord. We have a weekly email newsletter that comes out to everybody on our mailing list, so hopefully you're on that, and if you're not, let me encourage you to get on that. And then a few other emails here and there when significant things are going on, so I'd encourage you to get connected there. Another opportunity coming this week, in just 6 days from now, is First Wednesday. So you probably know, we the first Wednesday of every month gather for prayer and worship. During this time, we're going to be scattered for prayer and worship, but we are going to be live streaming on Wednesday, April 1st at 6:30. So you'll be able to worship and pray as we really jump into praying for what this season means for us as a church, but maybe more importantly for the region and the country and the world, and what that looks like for us to press into this moment as a global church. And so I'd encourage you, be a part of that. It's going to feel a little odd probably, but I think it will be a really beautiful time of us being together. And so that's coming this coming Wednesday. And then the basic ways of staying connected: text messages, phone calls, video chats, emails. stay connected to one another during this time. If somebody pops into your mind, shoot them a message. Let them know that you're thinking about them. Stay connected in any way that you can through this time. We need one another, and especially now, we need one another. And so continue to stay connected in that way. Let me let you know also, if there are needs that come up in your life or within your family during this time, can you let us know that at the church office? Again, info@yorkalliance.org, or calling the church office directly at 717-848-1700. We have a list of people who are willing to act as resources, who want to come alongside. I know it can be uncomfortable at times to express your needs, but if you have needs during this time, we want to be the church. Jesus told his disciples that the world would know that we're Christians because of the love we have for one another. And so that expression of need is part of the way that we are able to love one another and be connected to one another. And so let me encourage you to step into that, even though it's a bit uncomfortable at times. Express your need. Let us know what those needs are, and let us see if we're able to meet them. At the very least, we'll be able to pray with you and for you, but hopefully there'll be tangible ways that we'll be able to meet those needs as well. So please let us know as those needs arise. There was a lot of resonance last Sunday with the end of the message as I talked about Paul's words in Acts chapter 17 and the reality that God has chosen this time and place and moment for us all to be alive within. What I said on Sunday is that it's not accidental that this is happening now and that you're alive now, that I'm alive now, that God's called us to be the church during this time. And so that means there's some of us who are pressing into leading during this time, pressing into serving during this time, pressing into relationship and compassion ministry during this time. God's planned it that way, and you and I get to be a part of that. Along the lines of that, I want to read for you a section of an essay written by C.S. Lewis. You may have seen this on either the Gospel Coalition website or other websites over the last couple weeks, as Lewis just kind of mused on the idea of what it was like to live in an atomic age, post-World War II, with the threat of nuclear war and under the threat of nuclear war. There are aspects of this article that I find really helpful and other aspects that don't translate really well. But I want you to listen to Lewis's words, and I want to just pull out a couple ideas. He was asked what it's like to live and how he should be living, we should be living during that time of the post-atomic age. And he wrote this: "When I'm asked that question, I'm tempted to reply, why, as you would have lived in the 16th century, when the plague visited London almost every year, or as you would have lived in a Viking age when raiders from Scandinavia might land and cut your throat any night, or indeed, as you're already living in an age of cancer, an age of syphilis, an age of paralysis, an age of air raids, an age of railway accidents, an age of motor accidents. In other words, do not let us begin by exaggerating the novelty of our situation. Believe me, dear sir or madam, you and all whom you love were already sentenced to death before the atomic bomb was invented, and quite a high percentage of us were going to die in unpleasant ways. It's perfectly ridiculous to go about whimpering and drawing long faces because the scientists have added one more chance of painful and premature death to a world which already bristled with such chances, and in which death itself was not a chance at all, but a certainty. This is the first point to be made, and the first action to be taken is to pull ourselves together. If we are all going to be destroyed by an atomic bomb, let that bomb, when it comes, find us doing sensible and human things, praying, working, teaching, reading, listening to music, bathing the children, playing tennis, chatting to our friends over a pint and a game of darts, not huddled together like frightened sheep and thinking about bombs. They may break our bodies, a microbe can do that, but they do not need to dominate our minds." Now, as I said, not everything in what Lewis is saying is helpful. There are some dramatic differences between the coronavirus and the threat of the atomic bomb, but I think there are a few things that are really helpful. 3 ideas at least. The first one is this: to recognize that while this is unique to us, this is not unique within the history of the world. The fact that our health is uncertain, the economy is uncertain, and there are more questions than answers is the way the majority of the world has lived throughout history. we should be thankful for all that we've had, but we should also recognize that the world that we're living in is more typical than atypical. And so rather than retreat, we should press in. And that's Lewis's second point that I think is important. In the midst of this, we need to be doing what we should be doing, living normal, healthy lives that pursue after Jesus, obviously separate from one another, obviously cloistered to some degree, but connected in every way that we can, and certainly connected to the Lord, taking opportunity to press into the Word, to prayer, and to the Spirit of God. We should be doing the normal things that come with normally following Jesus. And the final thing that I think is really important is that this need not dominate our minds, in the words of Lewis. For many of us, we're exhausted thinking about all of the possibilities, everything that's happening around us, or might be happening around us, or could happen around us. The coronavirus, while a really important part of our world in this moment, is not the only thing that's a part of our world in this moment. And we need to be those who are able to, yes, understand our times, including the coronavirus, but also know the rest of the world. It doesn't need to be the only thing we think about. In fact, we need to be those who are able to meditate on the goodness of God, the grace of God, the sovereignty of God, and the fact that while none of us know what's going to happen, He does. He has a perfect understanding, and He's able to watch over us. Revival over the history of the church doesn't seem to come when the church is in easy, comfortable times. Revival, it seems, as you study history, comes when the church is pressed, when the world is suffering and things are difficult. As we try to navigate those times, it seems to be then that the Spirit of God breaks in. This is likely to be one of those times. And so let's pray that God would make us bold and faithful throughout this time. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for all that you're doing as you press into the Spirit of God. May the grace and peace of Jesus be with all of you.